I'm Elizabeth Linder, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Conversational Century. I think what's so interesting right now when I think about the space that we're in terms of social media, especially, and technology and communications, is the one group of people that is missing from the entire space of social media tends to be the most powerful people in the world, CEOs and executives of companies. World leaders and their teams, government officials and diplomats. It's not necessarily that they're not in the space, but it's that they haven't quite wrapped their head around what their voice should be in this space. We're in a world now that doesn't really operate on traditional PR terms. This isn't about having that perfectly polished message. And in fact, as somebody who started my career at Google and YouTube and then Facebook, we saw this so clearly in the early days. As YouTube was starting to grow, as Facebook was starting to grow, what really worked on these platforms were people that were not just authentic, using the buzzword of today, but were actually amateurs. People who just talk on these platforms in a way that is relatable and accessible and shows that they're actually not messaging a population, but being part of a conversation with people tends to go down so much better. And I really sincerely believe that what we need right now are role models on social media more than anything. I think one of the biggest aha moments for senior leaders when they're learning more about this space is understanding the relationship between time and space on social media. We tend to think of social media as all about speed. It's about being short and quick and really fast. But actually, for a leader, the biggest potential of this space is to use the breadth of it. There are no, timings you need to be careful of in terms of an interview on nightly news or an op-ed that you won't be able to write anyway on a weekly basis in a national newspaper. But online, a leader can take as much time and as much space as they need to speak directly to people and bring those people into their decision-making processes. Senior leaders make really tough decisions on a very regular basis. And as they're arriving to their conclusions, they need to take a stand, but often there are pieces along the way that are tough, that were difficult to understand or difficult to grapple with, or they feel they still don't quite know. The brilliance of social media is you can actually share in that level of nuance to your audience, those kinds of decisions. And in my experience, having spent 8 years at Facebook and being at Google and YouTube before then, people respond really, really well to that level of conversation and depth of thought. And it's the sort of space that when you're being careful about what you're saying because you're quite scripted by your PR team for your conversation with a journalist, you just don't get that opportunity to go into because you're thinking instead about the headline. In this day and age, do need to understand as best they can their responsibilities to have more open and frank conversations online, in part because we need them. We desperately need them to. In their absence, we're having conversations amongst people that either don't have enough information to make informed decisions, or look at the Twitter or Facebook accounts of individuals that actually use it in a way that demonstrates a real lack of diplomacy, a lack of expression, a lack of good leadership. The world works on role models. That's how we grow up. That's how we're raised. From when you're a kid to when you're a young adult, well into your career, you look at the kinds of people you aspire to be. And sadly, in the online social media space, without enough leaders that we can respect, that can be our role models, we're doing our societies a really great disservice. And we're starting to introduce less resiliency, I think, to what it is that is true, or what it is that is valuable for us to be talking about, because we've gotten so used to being messaged to all the time.